Alright guys, before the video begins, I just want to say, alright, cut that out. I know a lot of people got on me because I've been using that intro for a long time. If you didn't know, this is a moderately new channel, but still newer than my last channel. Nevertheless, if you're not subscribed, remember to subscribe to the channel, press the bell next to it so you get a notification every time I drop a new video. And, in the words of my grandpa,
subscribe, bitch!
Yeah. Cock-a-doodle-doo. So we're back with the review of the Jordan Luka 2 in this Quay 54 colorway, of course. I remember back in the day when I first got into sneakers, I wanted the Quay 54 5s, couldn't afford them, still can't afford them, so I'll settle for the Luka 2 Quay 54s. Let's get into the review. Now, if we're comparing the silhouettes of the Luka 1 to the Luka 2, I gotta go with the first ones. These are kinda meh. I like the colorway though. These are inspired by Pan-Africanism. The materials are very nice though, super stiff, so you're gonna have to break it in. Feels like less than a year since Luka's first shoe came out. They were probably super successful because the shoes were really good. And of course, Luka's just very popular. What's not to like about him? Boban. So they probably jumped the gun to release the 2s. Probably quicker than they should have, but hey, money talks. And of course, people want shoes that they can relate to. You know, a very slow, unathletic white guy. And he does numbers in the NBA, so of course it's gonna do well. But the looks in the initial thoughts rating of the Luka 2 is a 6 out of 10. I was very disappointed in the fact that it kind of looks similar, but kind of like a downgrade. Like the second evolution of a Pokemon that looks worse than the first one. I mean, the looks are alright. It's kind of like what Jordan did with the Zion 2s. They got worse looking, but the important thing is how did they perform on the court? Let's get into that right now. Moving on to the size and the comfort. These fit true to size, but it is on the tighter side, but in all the right places. The forefoot is a bit wider, so there is comfort there. The sneaker is definitely stiff, so you feel safe and secure in the sneaker. With the 360 cage that wraps around the sneaker, probably the main way to describe this shoe is that it is solid. Very strong and sturdy. But it's not heavy and it wasn't bogged down by a lot of unnecessary materials. There's actually a cushion that butts up the medial sidewalls. A description straight from Jordan brand, so hey. And it also has a molded insole, which gives you a low to the ground feel when playing, which of course is good for reaction in the sneaker, is good for quick jumps. It helps you be quick on your feet. There's also a lateral plate that runs up the lateral sidewall with a firm foam carrier and Formula 23 foam in the midsole. Very comfortable sneaker, but not the most breathable or flexible. Like I said, you have to break it in. Rating 8 out of 10. Moving on to the traction of the Luka 2s. Multi-directional rubber outsole. I don't know why it's necessary to say that because every basketball sneaker that comes out basically has that. It's great. I played on a clean court, but it wasn't a normal court. It was kind of rubberish, and those can suck, to be honest. But it stuck for the most parts with some moments of slippage, but of course you're playing basketball, so that's gonna happen, you know, with force and friction and all that science-y good stuff. I don't know, I was more into chemistry stuff, you know. You and I, we got that chemistry going on right now. That was corny, I'm not gonna lie. Traction rating of the Luka 2s, 9.5 out of 10. Moving on to the materials and the technology. So as I stated earlier, it has a 360 sturdy cage all around the sneaker that makes for a real stiff feeling sneaker. Of course, the full length Formula 23 foam midsole paired with a flexible ISO plate makes for a reactive sneaker. Pushlon 3.0 wedge in the midsole butts up the medial sidewalls as well. Overall, a very sturdy sneaker. For the price, you won't have to worry about getting a cheap product. It's definitely a bang for your buck. Rating 10 out of 10, which was also the same rating rating as the Luka 1s. More similar ratings coming up. Moving on to the support and the lockdown of the Luka 2s. So even after the last section was a 10 out of 10, this is probably even better than that. So 11 out of 10 if you could put it that high, I guess. The 360 cage does a great job at supporting your feet when moving laterally, when making cuts, changing direction, stopping on the dime, as well as your feet just feel really secure in the sneaker. As I said, it's a solid shoe with the materials. And your foot feels locked in as the ankle area kind of feels like it's collapsing in and closing in on your ankle, like a big hug, you know? I could use one of those, you know? I digress. It has a tight fit, but not to the point where it's uncomfortable. Like the shoes could be untied and the shoes aren't coming off your feet. Rating 10 out of 10. Rarely does a second signature sneaker live up to the first ones. You know, sequels are typically worse. You know, money grabs. But the Luka 2s are keeping up, if not exceeding the Luka 1s. Moving on to the price and the value. So for $130, it's just a really good deal for a pair of performance basketball sneakers. Whether you're a casual hooper with the athleticism of Luka, or you're a serious hooper with the athleticism of Luka, it's a good basketball shoe from beginners to full-time players. I'd say definitely worth the investment if you want a good basketball shoe that will last you. Overall, while I really like the looks of the Luka 1 better, this sneaker just might be a better basketball shoe. And that's saying a lot because I really like the Luka 1s. Rating of the Luka 2s is an 8.7 out of 10, making it a lower rating than the Luka 1s that I did in that video. The only thing that skewed the Luka 2s was the looks grade. And honestly, you know, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Another cliche line insert here. So if you really like the looks of the Luka 2s and you add it on top of my other grades, that would make this shoe one of the highest rated basketball sneakers I've ever tested. On to more pressing issues and more serious matter. Who's gonna ask for a trade first from Dallas, Luka or Kyrie? Test those Kyrie anti-Semitic, those Kyrie shoes. All right guys, that concludes the video of the Luka 2s. Let me know what you think of the shoes in the comments below. Will you cop? Definitely worth $130. There's a lot of basketball sneakers for a lot more than that definitely aren't worth it. Find out which ones in my other basketball sneaker reviews in the playlist up there and down there. Until next time, we out. Peace. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace. Positive note of the day, Luka Doncic just got engaged, so even if he never wins a ring in the NBA, my man has a ring where it really matters, and that's the heart.